This is part 4 in my COVID research series for identifying gaps in literature that need to be filled. My cat Donut decided she's going to help us out with this. This gap is in terms of reproductive health and fertilization. Things we know from the literature is that COVID is present in the testes in the epididymis. This is for people that have active COVID infections. And there have been several studies that have also shown that it's present in the seminal fluid. So, this is the ejaculate, in that it degrades sperm production, sperm motility. Essentially, there is sperm damage. One of the things that we do know so far is that the seminal fluid, it does not appear to be infectious. However, the questions that pop up for me at least are: one, what is the direct impact of fertilization with these damaged sperm? Will these sperm properly fertilize an egg? And if they can properly fertilize an egg, are there going to be long-term health risks for the development of that embryo into a fetus? Next, while the seminal fluid is not infectious in terms of giving the quote unquote mother in this scenario COVID infection, what would happen if the COVID virions from the seminal fluid reach the egg and somehow enter the egg during fertilization? Is that possible? Is the first part of that question. And then the second part is: what happens if COVID is directly introduced into a developing embryo? And I think there's multiple parts that can be flushed out in this. So, while the best thing would be involving some sort of in vitro fertilization and then allowing limited development of the fertilized eggs to see if the initial replication process is interrupted in some way, shape, or form, I think that's going to be a very high bar of research, and that's not going to be accessible to most people. So I think animal studies are probably the way to go. So these would need to be mice with the HACE2 receptor, human analogous ACE2 receptor in the mice. There's specific mice that are bred for this. And then it would need to involve a research team with in vitro experience. Essentially, you would give the male mice, a COVID infection, test if they are producing COVID in the seminal fluid, and analyze the effect on sperm production and sperm motility and other factors like that. Then, once you show that yes, it is being produced, you identify clearly damaged sperm from the COVID infection, and you take these and you essentially fertilize an embryo from the female mouse, and then you implant these embryos into the mouse and the female mouse, and then you let the pups be born. And then you study the pups that were born under this process, repeat the same process, but with mice not impacted by COVID, and study the how the mice behavior is between the two groups, in addition to other health parameters. And then it would be nice to have a neuroscientist on the team to do brain analyses afterwards to see if there's any developmental issues. And then if there are any significant findings from this, that would be something that would be very significant, very impactful. And then a little addendum to the study or follow up with the study would be: okay, so we showed these things. Also, how long in these male mice is COVID present in the seminal fluid after infection? Once the infection has resolved, is the testes and epididymis a reservoir area where it will continue to stay and replicate? And then, if so, how long will this damage the sperm? When would the sperm be considered back to quote unquote normal or baseline levels? And I think this would be a very neat study, and would be a very, very powerful realm of research in terms of reproductive health and COVID.